and I'm going to focus on part A. I'm comparing 4/9 and 3/6. And it's not the same as question number 1. I have a 9 on the bottom here, 6 on the bottom here. They're not the same thing. I can't say that 4/9 is bigger because the denominator, 4, is bigger than 3, because we're comparing two different things. 4/9 is a particular amount between 0 and 1 that is very different from 6ths between 0 and 1. So we just can't use the numerator to compare those. So I'm going to start with a number line because that's what I think students use the least. So I'm hoping to kind of normalize using a number line. If you didn't use a number line in your answers, I really highly recommend that you go back to a few of these and practice them using a number line. Okay, now before we start the number line, I am going to talk a little bit about the pie graphs or the circle graphs, because this is connected to something that we did in class. I want to talk about how you can start with thirds and create sixths and create ninths. So this would be thirds. And if I took those thirds and cut each one in half in 2, I now have sixths. And if I took those thirds and cut each one into 3 sectors, we would now have ninths. And I just mentioned that because it is what we were doing in class earlier on in March. So the same thing applies with number lines. And I think I'm going to use black. I'm going to draw a number line for sixths. Here's my 0. Here's my 1. And I'm going to draw an identical number line below that for the ninths. And I'm going to do my very best. This is, after all, just an estimate, but I'm going to do my very best to make sure that these line up. They actually kind of don't. So this one needs to be a little bit, well, that's not going to work. This one needs to be a little tiny bit shorter. I'm just going to place the, sorry about that. No, it's still not going to work. Oh, because I'm on eraser. Good job, Miss Fawcett. There we go. The reason that this is important is if we're going to compare the size of 2 different fractions on a number line, then the number lines need to be the same size. The same way that this circle needs to be about the same size as this circle and this circle. All of this is sketching and estimating because I'm not using a protractor for the circle. I'm not using a ruler on the iPad for the number line. But if I wanted to be more precise for a number line on paper, I would definitely use a ruler. So just make sure that when you're comparing fractions on 2 number lines, that the 0s and the 1s or whatever numbers you're using are exactly matching up. Because when everything is said and done, we're going to be visually comparing how far each fraction goes along each number line. Okay, so the first one we're going to show is the sixths. So I'm going to be doing the sixths over here, and I'm going to be showing the ninths on the second one. I'm going to start with thirds. And I'm eyeballing this. It's an estimate. And again, I'm making sure that these are matching up so that I can compare them. So I've divided each line into thirds. Now the first one, if I divide each third in half, I now have sixths. And if I divide the second one, I'm going to divide each third into 3 equal parts, so to speak. It's an estimate. Now I have 6 on one, ninths on the other. Starting at 0, please always indicate to me with the little bumps where you got your number from. So I'm starting at 0 and I'm going 1, 2, 3. This is 3/6. And down here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I need a little dot there. Forgot that. And a little dot here. Please always label. I know I have them labeled over here, but that was mainly just to show you what was going on each number line, but it's really important to use the dot, use the little loops, and label the fraction where it lands on the number line. Now I'm going to take my imaginary ruler, and coming down from here, I can see where 3/6 would land on the second number line, approximately here. And I can tell now that 3/6 is greater than 4/9, or if you prefer to go in the order of the question, 4/9 is less than 3/6. You don't need to write any sentences or anything like that. Really, the dotted line, the loops, the labeling, everything is there that you need. And that's how you would use a number line. Over here on the circle graphs, pie graphs, there's my 3/6. And I'm going to shade in a similar area on the 9ths. Here are 4/9. And we can see that 3/6 covers more area. They're very close. 3/6 covers more area than 4/9. Okay, I hope this helps.